So most of us, when we think about Dave Grohl and drums, probably think about the big floor toms as rack toms and the high cymbals. Well, today I wanted to discuss a drum kit setup or an iconic Dave Grohl setup that is not really widely talked about anymore and is extremely underrated, and that is his setup from Them Crooked Vultures in the 2009-2010 era. And we're going to dive in to an interactive kit that I have built based on articles and research on the internet to try and get as close as possible to the real deal. And for that, I have used a program called Drumstructor, which I have no affiliation for. It's just a super cool construction program here. So here we are on Drumstructor. And as you can see straight away, what an awesome looking kit. That blue, which they call laser blue, was specifically made for Dave and is very similar to that guitar he uses in Foo Fighters, that Gibson, which is iconic. So let's get stuck in to the bass drum here and we'll flip around. And in true Dave Grohl fashion, it is a large kick drum, a 24x16 with a super awesome artwork on the front there, which is the one he used on tour with Them Crooked Vultures. I tried to get the best image there, but yeah, it's actually quite hard to crop that, but you know, it's in the ballpark, right? Let's have a look at the toms here. So the sizing of the rack tom, would you believe it, is a 13x9. So one of the smaller ones we've seen Dave Grohl use in his career, but in true Dave Grohl fashion too, on the tilt like that. Yeah, he seems to like that angle on his rack toms. Going down, we have a 16x16 here, and this is an 18x16 here to round out the floor toms. Super interesting addition to Dave Grohl's setup in Them Crooked Vultures, which we haven't really seen before, and that is a gong drum here, accompanied by some concert toms. So he uses this in songs like Interlude with Ludes by Them Crooked Vultures live for a more percussive effect, which I found was really cool. You know, it's not all just crash cymbals and snare drum with Dave. He's very dynamic there. So this one is a 20x16, and the concert toms are an 8 and a 10. So the snare. Now, in the past, we've seen Dave Grohl use bell brass and even greater depths as what this is. This is an DW aluminium shell, and it's a 14x6.5 snare. I reckon it sounds great live. It cuts. It's still loud. Yeah, credit to D-Dub on this setup and these drums. So that really rounds out the drums. Starting with the cymbals, all Zildjian, and this one here is a neat little addition to Dave's Them Crooked Vultures setup. It's a 20 Zildjian A custom EFX, and this has a lot of grit to it, a lot of volume, and he does utilize this cymbal a lot. You know, it's got a little bit of harshness and trash to it, which I really like personally. You'll see him crash on this a lot throughout Them Crooked Vultures performances. It really looks cool too with the holes. Going down to the hi-hat here, these are 15K light hi-hats. So they're a bit lighter and a bit of a thinner cymbal. So obviously, yeah, a bit brighter, which is true Dave Grohl sound. Likes the bright stuff. And that takes us over to the other crash here, which is a 20A custom, another bright cymbal. And then this one is what I found super interesting. It is a really actually nice sounding cymbal and really complements Dave's setup. A ZHT, which I think at the time was a bit of a mid-tier cymbal. You know, it wasn't really classified as, you know, high-end Zildjian. Weirdly has a really good sound. You know, he doesn't really crash on this too much. It's more tip of the stick ping and definition that he gets from this ride cymbal. But he doesn't really need to crash on it when you've got cymbals like this one and the A custom here, but also a third. And that brings us to the Rezo crash. And this is also a 20-inch super loud cymbal, bright, but has a bit of grit to it too. So you've got a mix here between that bright and traditional texture, and that also brings volume. So that's a very loud cymbal too. And then that brings us down, last but not least, the China cymbal, which really you don't often see Dave Grohl use a China cymbal. And was super exciting with this setup. He utilizes this one heavily in songs like Gunman, and this cymbal is a 19K hybrid China. So pretty large China cymbal really, but sounds super awesome in songs like Gunman. Very powerful intro there with that song. So go do yourselves a favor and watch some old classic Them Crooked Vultures live performances. You'll see this kid in action and it sounds phenomenal. Personally, I love this setup from Dave. I like his choices with the mixture of the percussive nature with the concert toms and, you know, an extra floor tom. And is this really the last iconic Dave Grohl drum setup? I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you guys more Dave Grohl Nirvana or more Dave Grohl Them Crooked Vultures? I'm going to have to say probably unpopular opinion with all you mad Nirvana fans, but I'm a much bigger fan of this setup. Feel free to suggest some iconic setups in the comments below. I'd love to break down more kits like this. What drummers and iconic setups are you guys looking at the moment? But until next time, feel free to support the channel by subscribing and liking the video. Have a great day and rock on.